We think in fact that Noordseeport is a good example of a company which really takes the climate transition seriously. It's clear that they put the climate transition at the heart of its plans. What we also like about Noordseeport is that they are willing to have an open dialogue with civil society, with NGOs, for instance, like BBL, but also with other NGOs on the other side of the Belgian-Dutch border. We had this dialogue, for instance, on a study day, which we organized in February 2023, we as BBL. On this study day, we presented our own study about decarbonization of ports. And one of the conclusions of our study is that nowadays port companies are still lacking levels which they need to realize the climate transition. So what ports should do is expand their competences, and especially governments should give them a clear public mandate to realize the climate transition so that they can start to build an overarching strategy and to develop their climate roadmaps which are in line with the Green Deal or with the Paris Agreement. We think that the EU ETS is an important and very useful policy instrument because it puts pressures on companies to decarbonize. And although the ETS revisions have only been voted very recently, they are already now having an effect on the field. We see that in the example of Noordseeport, where now they are having discussions with, for instance, shipping companies, which probably would not have been taken place in the same way in the past. And companies are clearly thinking about how to decarbonize, how to perhaps make investments in the future. We see that in the shipping sector, but we also believe that EU ETS is only one part of the story, that it's only one part of a more complex set of policy instruments on the national and the EU level, which also should work in the same direction. We expect port companies like Noordseeport to develop reliable climate roadmaps which are in line with the Paris Agreement or the EU Green Deal. For shipping, this would mean, for instance, that they really take the lead in the decarbonization and start to building the infrastructure of the sector, the shipping sector of the future. For instance, in the developing of shore power, which will be a very important element in the future. There's firstly the supply for shower power which they can build, and then if the supply exists, the demand will follow easily, and there's a constant interaction between those two. I think that port companies have the possibility to be ambitious. Noordseeport is saying that they want to be ambitious, but we want to see the acts. They should act according to these ambitions. And they should be more ambitious, for instance, than the Flemish government, which is really lagging behind in this respect.